Okay, welcome back to Truck on the Seven Seas. This is episode number 39, and in this episode, we're going to go over week 9 of the Lease Operator program at Night Transportation. We stay on the West Coast this week, as usual, and at the end of the video, I'm going to go over how maintenance works at Night Transportation and what's covered under the Maintenance Readiness program, and show you how all of that works. For those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. I started this channel in order to show exactly what truck drivers make. I show every load I take, what my revenue is, what my expenses were, and what my net cash flow was, and I compile all of this information and I put it into a spreadsheet that I share with you at the end of every video. So if this is a topic that interests you, follow the channel. But last episode we left off in Sparks, Nevada. We picked up a load in Sparks, Nevada, and we're headed to Las Vegas, Nevada. So let's go. Okay, so we dropped the load out here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and then we were supposed to pick up another one at the terminal, but it's not quite here yet. We're about 20 minutes early, so the guy is still on the way. But after we pick it up at the Las Vegas terminal, we're then headed to Salt Lake City, Utah. Let's go. Okay, so we delivered that load in Salt Lake City. Then we got dispatched on another one, pick it up in Korean, Utah, and going to Tigard, Oregon, and Salem, Oregon. So it's a two-stopper again. So we're gonna go to Salem first, and then to Tigard. Let's go. Okay, so after the Salem/Tigard load, we got dispatched on another one picking up in Portland, Oregon, and headed to Grandview, Washington. Let's go. Okay, so after the Grandview, Washington load, we got dispatched on another one picking up in Spokane, Washington, and headed to Fremont, California. However, that load is not going to make the paycheck, so it's spreadsheet time. For week 9, we did 4 loads, and in those 4 loads, we got 1,869 miles, and we were paid a total of $3,282 for an average of $1.76 per mile. We also had a stop in there where we got paid $37.50. Fuel expenses, we fueled up 3 times, and in those 3 times we paid $624 for an average of 33 cents per mile. We did have a maintenance expense, but I'm actually not sure what it is. So I got this charge right here, and I called up the lease coordinator and asked what that was about, because it's not labeled or anything, and he's going to look into it. That could be the headlight. Now, I'm not 100% sure. I never got charged for that headlight, but that seems about what the headlight costs. And maybe they just figured out that, whoops, we never charged him, and I'm finally getting charged for it, because that seems like that's probably the headlight. But we'll see. He's going to look into it, and we'll find out. But I'm pretty sure they finally realized they never charged me for the headlight, and now I got charged. So I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Other expenses: MRP $89, Qualcomm $13, Bobtail $692, physical damage $69, occupation occupancy policy $34, permits $42, pre-pass $3.50, truck payment $450, scaled one time for $13.50, fuel tax $56, and the lease security deposit for $100, for a total of $878 for an average of 47 cents per mile. Weekly totals: so expenses were $1,715 for an average of 92 cents per mile. Revenue was $3,282 for an average of $1.76 per mile. That brings our net settlement to $1,566 for an average of 84 cents per mile. So total since starting the program, total expenses were $20,680 for an average of $1.03 per mile, and that is my cost per mile right there. Total revenue was $35,323 for an average of $1.76 per mile. Net cash flow is $14,643 for an average of 73 cents per mile. If I had been a company driver during this period, I would have made $10,864 at 54 cents per mile. And if you were an owner-operator who owned your own truck and did not have a truck payment, you'd make $18,493 for an average of 92 cents per mile. Averages and other information: average weekly paycheck is $1,627. Average weekly miles is 2,235. Total fuel cost $11,028 for an average of 55 cents per mile. Total maintenance costs were $2,200 for an average of 11 cents per mile. If we kept this up for a 52-week period, we'd make $84,604, and we'd get a total of 116,000 miles. We've been employed 63 days, or 9 weeks. We've taken 10 days off, had 53 days on duty, taken 37 total loads, and the average load length is 544 miles. And right here you see weekly pay versus company pay. So this is every single paycheck, and this shows the volatility of a company driver versus a lease operator. Lease operator is red, company driver is blue, and you can just see what your paycheck would be every single week, and you can see how what the difference is. So some weeks, as a lease operator, these 3 weeks right here and this week right here, I made slightly less than a company driver, and then this week right here was just a crazy good week, and then the other weeks have been more or less consistently slightly higher, maybe $300-400 higher per week as a lease operator than a company driver. And I just thought that was good information for you. It just shows you visually how much more volatile a company driver or lease or owner operator would be versus a lease operator. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. And the graph below that shows total company pay versus total lease pay. So the red line is lease and the blue line is company. And it just shows how much in aggregate, more or less, a lease operator makes versus a company driver. And as you can see right now, the lease operator pay is starting to kind of, it's starting to be a little bit higher than a company driver. Not by a lot. And the number is also up here. So as a lease operator, I made $14,000, and if I were a company driver, I would have only made $10,000, and that's what this shows right here. So that's the difference right there, and it just shows the pay in aggregate week by week, and just shows how much more or less a lease operator would make versus a company driver in aggregate. So I thought that was another useful graph for you guys to see. Okay, yeah, so there is week 9. A couple caveats here. The total fuel expense is extremely low. I probably fueled up on last week's paycheck right before this week started, and that's why that's so low. 33 cents per mile is not normal, but that's probably because I fueled up right before this week's paycheck. And yeah, so there's that. Had a maintenance expense, kinda. Pretty sure that's a headlight, but we'll find out. He's looking into it. I never said anything, so I just didn't bring up when I had the headlight issue, when I cracked it. I just never said anything, and it was just charged, and I just never said anything. So it's quite possible they figured it out, and I'm just getting back charged for it. So I'm guessing that's the headlight. So there it is. But anyways, had that, and yeah, everything else pretty standard. So far, I'm making 73 cents per mile. You can determine whether that's good or not. Yeah, so that's week 9. Okay, moving on now. A lot of you guys have been asking me about the maintenance expenses and how that works. So look through the contract, and I'm going to go over that right now. So One thing about the contract, they don't really want it posted, like the entire contract is posted on the internet. I could tell when I asked for the contract, there was a lot of hesitation to give me a digital copy of it. So, yeah, I'm not going to post the contract because it seems like they don't want me doing that. So I'm not going to do it. However, what I do think is fine, I took some snippets of some of the maintenance descriptions in the contract. So these are just snippets of what is covered and what is not covered. Uh, Straight off of the contract, and I think that's fine. I'm not posting the whole thing, just some snippets, and it should pretty clearly show you guys what is covered under the maintenance readiness program at Night Transportation. So first and foremost, 15% admin fee. So there's a 15% admin fee for all of your expenses. So no matter what you're doing, you're going to get a 15% admin fee. So if you want anything done, anything, you're going to get charged 15%. So just a note there, you will be charged 15%, and that's the way it is. Now, so these issues right here are covered 80%. They're covered 80%, and how they write it, I don't really like it very much. I think it should be a little bit more upfront with it. Like, I think, yeah, this should just be integrated in with the description here, but I don't know. They'll say they cover stuff like 80% or 100%, but then they tack on the 15% admin fee, so it's really 65%, and as you'll see in here in a minute, it'll be like 65% or 85% or 0%. So yeah, just a note there, they'll say it's covered 80%, but it's 80% minus the 15% admin fee, making it 65%. So okay, all right, so this stuff right here is covered 80% minus 15%, so 65%. So you got the transmission rebuilds, turbo rebuilds, clutch replacements, engine, major rebuild, repair, replacement, not exceeding $2,000 apparently. I don't know what happens if it goes over $2,000. Might be on you. EGR valve, EGR curler, DLC, DPF, rebuild, repair, replacement, fuel injectors, ECM rebuild, rear end rebuild, replacement, repair, all that. Driveline, U-joints, yokes, drive shaft rebuild, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, there it is right there. So that right there, these issues right here are covered effectively 65%. So 80%, then the 15% admin fee. So it's covered 65%. So if you need a transmission rebuild, they will cover it 65% and you owe 35%. And that's how it works. So that is that right there. And you can kind of read the wording of it right here. I did put the wording of just this snippet right there. I think that's fine. But yeah, it's 20% or a minimum of like $300, it looks like. So 20% or $300, whichever one is greater. So just a note there. And they're calling it the deductible amount. So this is what you owe if you have to do it, i.e. the deductible. So that'll be relevant here in a second. So yeah, covered 65% effectively. Okay, so the next stuff right here is covered 100%, but it's covered 100% minus a 15% admin fee, so 85%. And I wish they wouldn't do that. I wish they'd just say it was covered 85%, but whatever. They say they covered 100%, but really it's 85%. And I wish they would just say it that way, because when I have to explain it like this, that just doesn't look good. When they say, yeah, it's covered 100% minus 15%. I don't like that. So, but it's it's their thing, I guess. But I wish they wouldn't do that. Anyways, it's 85% here. So parts and services covered under the maintenance repair program, not subject to the deductible amount. So that means it's not subject to the deductible amount, meaning you do not have to pay the deductible or the 20%. And yeah, so that's how that works. So this is covered 100% minus 15, 85%. So, fuel delivery system, brakes, steer axle, steering, cooling system, air conditioning, heating, and the electrical. Electrical's pretty big, so that's nice. That's covered 85%. So if you have an electrical issue, 85%. So that right there is covered 85%. Yeah, so the electrical, I had to take two snippets of it. So the electrical starts there, and then it continues down here. And then the interior and exterior is also covered. So that stuff right there. So yeah, this is all electrical right here. So electrical there and there as well. So basically anything electrical is covered. 85%. Okay, and this stuff right here is not covered at all. So if something like this goes wrong, you owe 100% of it. So you're going to have to cough it all up. Got the engine, this stuff right here anyway. The air brake system, charging system, steer and drive axle, and then the interior and exterior. This stuff is so this was listed here and here, but this stuff is covered 85%, and this stuff is covered 0%. So yeah, there's two interior and exterior. You got to know which one is covered. So just a note there, this is not covered at all. And then some miscellaneous stuff, you know, coolant and looks like generally smaller stuff like that. But none of this is covered at all, and you're gonna have to fork up however much it costs to fix all of that. So there you go. And then oil changes. So you are required to get an oil change every 28,000 to 31,500 miles. I have to do mine actually probably in the next week or two. So just a note there. And it is covered. And I'm pretty sure you still have to pay the 15% admin fee. Pretty sure. But yeah, so that is covered. And yeah, got to get your oil change. And yeah, so there is a whole other thing for this. For the oil changes, so required every 28,000, 31,000 miles, and I thought I should put that in there as well. So yeah, you're required to do that. Okay, yeah, so there's what the maintenance readiness program actually covers and how much it covers and what it covers and all that good stuff. So a lot of you guys have been asking for that, and I've been meaning to do it. I just haven't had the time to read the contract, look through it, make a video about it and all that. Just been busy. So, but there it is. So, you know, it's covered anywhere between really 65%, 85%, or 0%, depending on what the issue is. And yeah, so, you know, that's a big chunk of your maintenance issues. So, you know, if you have a transmission rebuild, it's going to be covered, you know, 65%, and that's pretty big. So in theory, your maintenance cost per mile is going to be a lot less at Night Transportation because they're just going to cover a lot of it. And yeah, so that's that. And yeah, there you go. There's the maintenance readiness program for you. But that will do it for this episode. If you were interested in the spreadsheet I showed or this Google Doc right here, I'll put it in the description down below. And if you're interested in truck driving, there's a link in the pinned comment. Just click that link, fill out your information, and Drive Recruiter will get a hold of you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.